Welcome back to our channel, you guys. This is like our first ever sit down video, and so today we are going to be answering some questions you guys asked me over on TikTok and also discussing like how our relationship came to be. I think that's what we're going to do first though, because it's like we can lead in from story time to question time, you know?
Here we go again.
What do you mean?
Story time about how we got together.
When have we ever done this?
15 times.
On what platform?
TikTok, YouTube.
I've never posted a YouTube video about how we started dating.
Chrome. No, I'll cut that part out.
Anyways, so we are going to be telling y'all the story about how we came to be, but in order to do that, we got to go back like 10 years ago. Actually,
10 years.
It was like 12 because we were 14. And we're both about, well, I'm about to be 26, he's already 26, so that was 12 years ago.
That's crazy.
Which is like really crazy to think about. Our relationship has been basically 12 years in the making. Would you like to start off? Or do
No,
I need to start
I'll
off?
let you start it.
Why do I always start things?
Recollection's a lot better than mine.
So in 9th grade, I don't even remember like how everything came to be. I just remember that it was 9th grade spring break. Me and my best friend Tiffany were in Nashville, and I think before that, like, me and Wade had already been friends, but it was like through just like talking shit on Twitter. Like, he would mention me randomly and like make fun of me and say I look like animals. I don't fucking know.
I did not say that.
You said I look like a turtle or something like that. That is what you said. That's
way out of context.
So what was the context?
I can't remember.
So then if you don't remember, that's the context.
It was not like that.
Basically, he was my biggest bully. Just kidding. It was just like playful banter back on Twitter. If you had a Twitter back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
Twitter was a wild place to be when we were in middle school, high school, okay? Anyways, so before we had even started dating, we were going back and forth, mentioning each other on Twitter. And back in the day, especially like when I was like 14 years old, I would say everybody was my best friend. So Wade was one of my best friends, okay? Because, I mean, if I talk to you every day, we're texting all day, every day, you have to be my best friend. What are you? You know, if you're not my best friend. I think I'm still like that today. I'm like, oh fuck, she's been talking to me all day, like we're besties. You know, like that's my bestie. But anyways, so me and my best friend Tiffany went to Nashville with my mom and my sister for my spring break. And while we were there, he was just mentioning me like crazy on Twitter, and I finally caved. I gave the man my number and we started texting. And I remember he's like, when you get back, you should come over. Now, one thing to know about me, my mom would not let us date until we were 18. She always said that. We were not allowed to have boyfriends in middle school, high school. Plot twist though, I had a boyfriend in middle school, high school, multiples. Sorry, mom. But we weren't supposed to. Yeah, we weren't supposed to. So when he's like, okay, like I really want you to come over and hang out, I'm like, how the hell am I going to make that work without getting my ass beat? Okay, because one thing about my mom, she is like a strong woman who had her first kid when she was a teenager. So she's like, you're not having your first kid as a teenager. Anyways, so we get home from Nashville. Me and Tiffany are like brainstorming. We're like, how can we make this happen? Because her boyfriend was best friends with him, but her parents didn't really care if like her and her boyfriend like hung out. So like she was good. It was more so trying to figure out how like me, like how I was gonna get there with her to his house to hang out with them. And so we called my uncle. We told my mom that we wanted to go over to our friend Amanda's house because Amanda lived like right down the street from Wade. Literally, it was like a 5-minute walk. So I told my mom like, oh my goodness, since we're back home, like Amanda wants to hang out, whatever, do you think that we could go over there? So my mom said yes, but the only thing was, since we were 14, we were not driving yet. Tiffany's parents both had work the next day. My mom had work the next day. We didn't have anyone who could take us. So I was like, hold on, I have an uncle. I have an uncle, and he's not even like my blood uncle. He's like uncle by marriage. I was like, we should call him and we should ask if he could take us. So I call my uncle and I'm like, hey, like we need a ride to my friend Amanda's house tomorrow. Like we want to hang out. We want to do cute girly things. Can you give us a ride? And he didn't even ask any questions. He's just like, okay, like how far away is it from your house? I was like 10 minutes. He's like, okay, I'll be there at this time. Be ready. No questions asked. So he gets there. We get in the car. We're like, thank you. He takes us to Amanda's house and we're like, oh, you can just drop us off at the door and go. So we get out the car, but he's like lingering. Like he's just staying there, kind of like he's waiting for us to go in. And we're like, fuck, like how are we going? Like if we just stand here, he's gonna be like, are you gonna go inside? And then it's like awkward. So luckily, like Amanda was literally like one of our best friends. Like we would hang out all the time. So we just knocked on the door. Her mom answered the door. She's like, hey girls, like Amanda's not home. What are you doing here? And we're just like, can we just like stand in here for a couple minutes? And in hindsight, a lot of the adults that I grew up with in my life just were not the best influences, because if a kid ever came to my door, unless they could give me like a valid reason, like, well, what's wrong? Like, why do you need to stand here? Like, obviously if a kid comes under, they're like, I really need to stand here because like something crazy is going on. Hell yeah, come on, I'll protect you, whatever. But like, we just asked if we could just stand there. We're like, my uncle's outside, he's waiting for us to like go inside, but we're trying to get down the street to go hang out with these guys. And she was like, yeah, come on. I was like, what? So we just like went in the house. We sat in Amanda's room, we waited, and my uncle finally pulled off. And we almost got caught because we thought he had pulled off, so we were like, okay, bye, we're leaving. We go outside, we see his car coming back. I think maybe he was just trying to make sure we really were inside. So we like run back in the house real quick. He was finally gone though. We start walking to Wade's house and we literally get lost. It's a 5-minute walk. It's a straight shot. It's a straight shot.
Yeah, literally.
A straight shot. Like his house, like Amanda's house was at the beginning of the road. His house was at the very end. Straight shot. And we get lost.
Well, that
was there turns?
Yeah, one.
Oh, well then, okay, so now.
One left though.
Okay, but all these years you've made me feel like stupid about that.
It was one left.
Look y'all, I have been feeling bad about that for the past freaking 12 years of my life. Turns out there was a turn. I don't remember that. I just remember the straight shot. So fuck you for making me feel bad about it.
It was a straight shot to the stop sign.
Oh my god. Anyways, so we call Wade, and Carlos was his friend's name. We called him, we're like, hey, like we're like very lost and we don't feel like we should be lost, because Tiffany had been to Wade's house before. So she's like, I know where it is. And it's like, okay, if you know where it is, where is it? Like, I've never been here. I don't know where it is. And so Wade has to like walk down the street, come and get us, walk us back to the house. It was a whole ordeal, but we finally get there. Tiffany didn't know that Carlos was gonna be at the house. So Wade's like, why don't you go into that room right there? Huh? And it's like, the fuck?
Did I really do
That's
that?
what you said. It was very weird. I was like, what? So she goes in, and next thing you know is, oh my god, that's all you hear. And it's like, oh, because like he surprised her. And then Wade's like, okay, we're gonna go over here. Wade's room, and he has a bunk bed, he has a couch. Like Wade was doing the big thing. He had like basically a fucking apartment in his room. He's like, what movie do you want to watch? I think we watched Sandlot, which that was my first time ever seeing that movie.
Watch what?
Sandlot.
Sandlot?
Sandlot? The movie about the little kids that play baseball?
Sandlot?
Oh.
What the fuck is Sandlot?
We watched Sandlot, I guess. That was my first time ever seeing that movie, and I was like, what an interesting choice for a first date. Sandlot. Thank you. God bless. So literally 2 minutes into sitting there watching the movie. Oh my god. Okay. Keep in mind, Wade's like the second guy I ever kissed. Wade was like my first like real kiss, which I know I was not his because Wade was a little thought.
Whatever.
Just kidding. Wade really was like a ladies man though.
No.
Back in, you were.
No.
Girls thought you were so cute.
Shut up.
They did. But yeah, so that was our first time hanging out basically. Yeah, that's how like we started dating the first time. The way we ended dating was like a month later. He started dating one of my best friends while he was also dating me. So that's cute.
Then after that, it was only like a week, like a week later?
A week, two, something like that.
That I was trying to get back with her, so.
But mama didn't raise a fucking fool. Well, I think actually I had started talking to somebody else too, so I was like, eh. And then also the girl that like he started talking to, like literally when I say she was one of my best friends, so in hindsight I should have been a lot more mad at her than I was, but I was stupid, so I just let it go. She had kind of brainwashed me into believing that it was all Wade, even though she was also talking to, like, she was like, yes, maybe Wade did hit her up first, which is why I was so pissed off at him, but like she was entertaining it. And after like a week, they were in like a full-blown relationship. Like Wade's buying her nice gifts, taking her on dates. So it's like,
it didn't last long.
It didn't last long, but you never bought me a gift when we first started dating. You got her a ring, you got her tongue.
Oh
I was never mad about it though. If there's one thing I can say is that consistently throughout high school, I would still talk to Wade on Twitter. I would still be nice to Wade. I was never a mean person to Wade, ever. Would still talk to him on Twitter. If I saw him in the hallway, I would say hey. One thing that like sticks in my mind vividly is our senior year of high school. We were in the same science class, and there was like one day where like Wade was not sure if like he was gonna graduate, so he was outside on the hallway floor crying. And I don't know if you remember this, but I came out there and I'm like rubbing your back and I'm trying to calm you down, and I don't know, I just felt like that's what I need to do as a person who cared about you, because I'm the kind of person who like, if I care about you once, I'll always care about you. Doesn't mean that like I'll always love you per se, but like I'll always care about you. I'll always want the best for you. And so when I saw him crying, I'm like, fuck, because like I've been in that situation before where like I'm at school, I'm having a really hard time, I'm crying, and like it's even harder when like nobody's there to comfort you, you know? So I felt like that was my duty, you know? Which I'm grateful I did that, because like I said, I don't know if that had like a lasting impression on you or if that stuck with you, but it stuck with me all these years later. Another thing that stuck with me, and this is why whenever we got back together, I was like, okay, I feel like that this is supposed to happen. I really wish I still had my Twitter, but I remember, you know, that month that we dated in high school, that he literally told me, I feel like you're my soulmate. Now, granted, he was a 14-year-old boy, so he's probably telling all girls that, but but it has stuck with me, and it's something I think about all the time, because I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason. And I think that me and Wade had to fall out, graduate high school, kind of go our separate ways and learn life lessons, so that when we came back together, we would be better people for each other. So I guess we can talk about kind of like in those 4 years from the time we graduated in 2016 until the time that we reconnected in 2020, like what we were up to in life. And I will let you take it away, since I did all of that.
I wasn't doing nothing that was good, that's for sure.
I wouldn't say that.
What do you mean?
Because you're like working at Applebee's, you know?
Oh, after high school?
Like, yeah, like after, not during high school, like from 2016 to 2020, before we like reconnected.
Yeah, I started working at Applebee's.
A lot.
Yeah, I was working a lot of hours there. And then I worked there for like 3 years. 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then I said, fuck that job.
Yeah.
I got tired of that shit. Relationship wise, when I started working at Applebee's, I wasn't in a relationship. And then, like, I had a few flings here and there. And then, I did have one relationship that lasted for a few months. And then, not long after that, we parted ways, and I just kind of did my own thing, and I didn't really have any relationships between then and the time that me and Kendra got together. Well, maybe.
I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was fucking waiting. I'm like,
Yeah, there may have been a few other flings, but
it wasn't. It's funny how you go from I didn't have really any to maybe there was a few.
Yeah.
Just a little. I dabbled in a little.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny though, because I was like the complete opposite. So like from the year we graduated until 2020, I had a variety of very interesting relationships. The one right before Wade, or not right before, it was like 6 months before Wade, I was dating a dude that was in fucking prison. Worst experience of my life, I will say. At the time I was watching like a bunch of shows that kind of glorified like prison relationships, and I was like, oh, I can do this, I'll be your ride or die. To this day I say I will never be anybody's ride or die again. Yeah, so that was the relationship I was in like right before Wade, and then I had like 2 before that. I was dating this one guy for literally a year, and the only way that we could like spend time together or like be together was if we were hanging out with like our close-knit group of friends. He only claimed me like in front of these friends. If we were out and about, he did not want to be seen with me. He did not want anyone to know that we were dating. And now, you know, I look and I'm just like, that relationship taught me a lot. It taught me that I'm not gonna accept less from people. It taught me that I'm a fucking treasure to have in your life. So if you don't want to claim me in your life, that's on you. That's the story of my life. There's been many people in my life who have treated me that way, so it is what it is. And then the relationship before that, same thing. Didn't want anyone to know that like we were together. And I feel like being in relationships like that, it really has shaped me into the person I am today. I'm the kind of person now that it's just like, if you don't want to be in my life, cool. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to beg you. I just don't care. You have to realize that your presence in people's life is a gift. And you have to add your worth on. You have to know your worth. It took me years to realize my worth. And now that I know my worth, it's fucking funny because people just treat me all kinds of ways. And I'm just like, I used to sit and I used to do the thing where I would cry and I would sulk and I would, you know, whatever. But now it's just like, okay. So then 2020 rolls around. Y'all know the world shut the fuck down. Okay, but before me and Wade started dating, since it had been 6 months since my felon boyfriend, I told myself that I was just gonna give up on men. I was literally done. I was like, I'm never gonna be married. I'm gonna be that rich auntie who just spoils my sister's kids, which is so fucking funny because it's like the complete opposite now. Like my sister does not want children. I want like 12. And anyways, so I had just like completely reinvented myself. Well, one day I like wake up and I noticed this man literally went on my Instagram. He's just spamming my Instagram. What was your thought process behind that? What did you see that just caught your eye and you're like, I'm gonna go and like every single one of her pictures for the last 5 years?
It wasn't that all.
It was like 20.
It was a good bit.
It was like 20.
It was a good bit. I don't know. It was just a spark of the moment, I guess.
You're like, ooh, I kind of missed her. Let me slide in.
Yeah.
Were you feeling real lonely?
I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl.
Stop. And he told me that on the first date, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
It was weird.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. So I woke up, he had liked all my pictures, so I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna go. I liked the like 4 pictures he had on his page because one thing about Wade, he really doesn't post much on social media. So I liked the 4 pictures he had on his page and I waited because if there's one thing I'm not gonna do, it's hit you up first. I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that, so I didn't. I just liked his pictures and I was like, okay, this is your in. Like, if you want to talk, hit me up. I'm giving you the green light, whatever. So I wait and I wait and I wait. And I think like a day had passed by and I saw that he was active on Instagram, but he still hadn't messaged me, which now I know that Wade had a lot going on in his life at that time or whatever. So like it all makes sense now, but I was just like, okay, this motherfucker's kind of rude. And I unfollowed him. I was like, because like you're not gonna come on my page. You're not gonna come on my page and show interest in me and then not speak to me. Like, what is that?
I mean, shit.
No, unfollow quick. And it's funny because he noticed I unfollowed him. I don't know how he knew. I don't know if he saw like the number go down and you're like, what the hell? But how'd you know? I haven't never asked you that.
I think the next day, like I was like, either I like clicked a notification, like where you liked a picture or something. I like went to your page and it said like you follow or doesn't follow you back.
Yeah. Like, so then he messaged me and he's like, why'd you unfollow me? And then that's how everything started. And literally that day he tells me like, I feel like I'm gonna marry you. And I'm like, interesting. But I've always been the kind of person who just kind of flies by the seat of my pants. So I was like, okay, shit, if you think you're gonna marry me, we're gonna get married. And I'm like, fine. That is a red flag usually, okay? If a man is like love bombing you from the first day, it is a red flag. But knowing Wade and how he is, he's just like a very like spiritual person, like in touch with his emotions. So I knew that that was just the way he was. Plus we had already had history. It's not like he was just like a random man. But if a random man that it's your first conversation having with him and he's like, I'm gonna marry you, typically that is not a man you want to marry, okay? But from that point on, we had decided that we're gonna text every day. We would call each other, play Uno for like 6 hours at a time, because it's quarantine. Like, you have nothing to do, especially in the cities that we lived in here in Georgia. They had like strict laws and mandates that like only grocery stores, doctors, hospitals, and it was like a couple of other like necessary business, like a couple of fast food places could be open, but everybody else had to remain shut down until they told you to. You could not go out without a mask, you could not do social gatherings, or they would shut that shit down. Like, it was very strict. So there wasn't much you could do. We didn't even go on our first sit down date until probably like 2 or 3 months into our relationship when we went to Chili's. Our first date, like in person, because we had many like phone dates before that where we would just like play Uno on our phones and have fun. But our first, like,
lose all my coins.
I would lose all of Wade's coins on Uno because I'm not the best player sometimes. But our first like sit down date was at a Chili's, but our first like official date, I guess, was in Wade's room watching Love Island, eating Dairy Queen.
Yeah, it was Dairy Queen.
So I don't know, I love that was our first date.
I know what you got. You got the chicken tenders.
No, you have to say which kind of chicken tenders.
The honey barbecue.
Honey barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Why does that sound so good?
Oh my goodness.
We're not having that for dinner, but it does sound good.
It does sound
It sounds so good. I don't remember what you got. I think you
What
got...
are we eating for dinner?
Varsity.
Oh yeah, we're eating varsity.
I think you got like plain old, disgusting, traditional chicken tenders with ranch, I think. What? The fact that we just went on a tangent about what we ate. Anyways, so literally from the first day that Wade and I started dating, we were inseparable, I would say. Like, I moved in with you, what, like 3 weeks after we started dating? Literally, it was like,
I can't remember.
it was like 3 weeks to like a month. Yeah, that was the beginning stages of our relationship. And in 2022, he asked me to be his wife. This year we got married, and that's basically that. And so that's our love story. Obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, a lot of nooks and crannies, but that's just like the basic rundown. So now we're gonna answer some of the questions that you guys gave us over on TikTok. I only have a couple, so it'll be fairly quick. So I love this question because I feel like sometimes like people just can't understand interracial relationships unless you are in one. So personally, going into this relationship, a lot of people love to assume that I've only ever been with white men. That is not the fucking case at all. I have been with Hispanic men, black men, white men. Like, I love all races. I do not give a fuck. I love anyone who can love me. You know what I'm saying? So since I've been with like all different types of men, like I kind of know like the different problems that come with each different type of relationship. And I would say being with a white man is probably like the hardest relationship to do in terms of the way that other people see it. When we first started dating, it was always so awkward for me, especially to go to like his family events, because you never know like how people feel about you, especially because we live in the South, and it's like no secret that there are still older white people, especially in the South, who are still not accepting of interracial relationships. I would say the same thing too about older black people. Like, they're still not accepting. It's still something that it's hard for them to comprehend. So when we first started dating, I think that was the thing that was like the most uncomfortable for me. It's just like the looks, or like feeling like you're not welcome, or you know, people don't want to include you simply because of the color of your skin. Now that I know his family more, I realized that some of those feelings that like I was getting, it was more so that they were just trying to learn, and you know, they didn't want to step on any toes or make me feel uncomfortable, because like I don't think any of his cousins, like his brothers, like no, they've never been with a black girl before. So it's like you kind of have to like, you have to learn, and that's just something that you're gonna have to be accepting of when you're getting into an interracial relationship. When you're getting into an interracial relationship, like you just have to be accepting of. Some people just don't know. You can't expect people right off the back to just like, if they've never been around it, you can't expect them right off the back to just be used to it. And it's shitty sometimes, it sucks, but it's just the reality of life. I would say that that is the hardest part for me. Even now when we go out in public and you know, you catch someone just giving you a little dirty look, like,
that's really the main.
That's the main thing. It's like the dirty looks you got in public, but we don't give a fuck. We're like, we don't know y'all, you know? Like, we're never gonna see you again. Look, baby, because we look good. You know what I'm saying? So I honestly don't think that for us personally, we've had many like issues in our relationship, because like, I don't know, like we just haven't had issues. I don't really know how to describe it. It's hard because I know that for other people there are situations where like being in an interracial relationship is just like so unnecessarily hard, and it's like heartbreaking. But for us, it's basically just like the stares and like other people having to adapt to the fact that I'm with a white man and he's with a black girl. And it's been 4 years now. Everyone's adapted.
Right.
I don't feel the things that I used to feel, you know?
Right.
Okay, I love this question because I love talking about anything babies and kids. She said, I know you all want kids, just wondering how many and what gender. So, how many kids do you want, Wade?
Probably 2. 2 or 3. 3 would be pushing it. 2 would be ideal.
Yeah, 3 would definitely be pushing it. I think that very early on, we established that we just want 2 kids, and we're very hopeful that, you know, it's the boy-girl situation. I'm the kind of person, if like we end up with 2 girls or if we end up with 2 boys, I'm willing to try one more time. But if that third, let's say like we have 2 girls and the third is a girl, or we have 2 boys and the third is a boy, we're not trying again.
Yeah.
I don't want 4. I don't want 5. Like, we're not gonna try again. Because I honestly have never even envisioned myself having 3 children. It's always just been 2. I want to be able to let our children experience things in life. So I want to be able to afford to shower them with experiences and give them the best childhood, just because like I didn't have the best childhood growing up. And so I want to do everything for my kids that I feel like wasn't done for me growing up.
Right.
And I think Wade's the same way,
right.
Where it's like we just want to be able to be the best parents ever. And that's not just financially, it's emotionally. I want to be able to like give so much love to my children. And it's not to say that if you have multiple children, you can't do that. I just feel like for us personally and the kind of people that we are, just having 2 children would be a lot less emotionally draining on us. And I just think that would be what works best for us, because everyone's family is different, you know? Like, I admire women who want like 10 kids, because when I was growing up, that's what I wanted. I was like, I want a big family. But growing up is realizing what works for someone else is not going to work for you. And if I were to have a big family like that, I think more often than not, I would just be very overwhelmed and like a shell of myself almost. And I just don't want to be that way. But I think that you would make the best dad ever.
Don't say that.
What?
No, you're gonna make me blush. Don't put that in there.
I'm gonna put that in
Please
there.
don't.
But in terms of like what gender, like I said, I would be happy with a girl and a boy. Personally, I would also be happy with 2 girls. Wade, however, I think would be happy with 2 boys.
Yeah. Boy and a girl, preferably.
Wade, okay, this is the crazy thing about Wade. I'll sit and I'll talk about like, I really would love to be like a football mom. Wade's like, no, baseball. Okay.
I didn't say that.
That is what you said. You said, my son's gonna play baseball. And then your parents are also like, yeah. Then your parents are like, baseball.
That.
You've said it multiple times. And I'm like, but what if I want my kid to be a football kid?
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a damn football game.
I did not say that.
That is what you said.
I did not say that.
Then I'm like, I would love for our daughter to be like doing like gymnastics or like competitive cheerleading, softball.
I did not
Hell
say
no.
that.
You did say that.
When did I say that?
When we were having this conversation at your parents' house when we were looking at all of your baseball trophies. You like, you want a son in baseball, a daughter in softball. That is what you said.
No.
And I'm like, so what do I get to do? Because I don't want to
that.
do baseball or softball.
This is lies.
No. At the end of the day, though, it's all about obviously what our kids want to do. So if our son comes to us and he wants to play fucking pickleball, he's playing pickleball, and you're not going to pressure him into playing baseball.
I didn't say that. I do not remember saying that.
I want to play pickleball. I've never played. I don't know, this whole week, I keep saying, like, I want to go play pickleball. And I'm like, I have never even played it. I don't know what that is. I just saw it on TikTok and I was like, that looks fun. That looks ravishing. I want to do that. Okay, this next one says, how do y'all handle finances as a married couple? Simple answer is don't get a joint bank account. But we're in a relationship where like we just split everything. I know there's a lot of discourse about this on the internet, and it's like the man should pay for everything. But my thing is, if I'm a boss ass bitch and like I'm making money and I'm doing great in my career, like why wouldn't I help pay the bills is how I feel about it. And plus it's a partnership. I feel like everything should be 50-50, and so we split that shit.
Green.
Oh, I love this question because we love to travel. What vacation spots would y'all want to go to in the future? Would you ever visit another country?
Definitely visit another country.
But okay, what country? Like, okay, if you had to say like your #1 bucket list country.
Oh, Dubai for sure.
Baby, we're never gonna be able to go to Dubai.
Don't say that.
It is so expensive.
So?
It is the richest country in the world.
And?
You gotta really blow multiple bags to go to Dubai.
And?
It's not like we can get us a little $1,000 Airbnb. That's not how Dubai works. Okay.
So?
I ain't paying for it. You better put the whole bill in since you're talking
Or
about
like Bali. Bali would
Bali
be
looks really cool.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of movies where it like shows the Bali tradition and everything is just so colorful and bright. I would love to go there. I think for my #1 country, I'm so basic. Back in the day, I used to watch a lot of British YouTubers. I used to be obsessed with Love Island UK. So I would love to go to the UK, honestly.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lame.
We can meet Molly May and Tommy.
I don't know nothing about the UK, so.
Yeah. But as far as like vacation spots, our #1 vacation spot.
Orlando.
For sure. We go to Orlando every year. I'm already planning our trip for next year. Like, it's just like, it's our thing at this point. A lot of people always ask, like, doesn't it ever get old? The answer is no, it does not. When you only go once a year, like, you end up like missing the things that you do. So by the time you get back, it's still fun, it's still exciting. And Orlando, or Universal, has a really good way of having new things every few months in terms of like foods to try, drinks to try. They're even building a whole new park, which, oh my gosh, in 2025, when that bitch opens up, we're gonna have to go like 2 or 3 times that year.
Yeah,
it's just gonna have to be a thing. We might have to go for like your birthday, my birthday, and then once in the beginning of the year too. Just to go. But yeah, we love traveling. We haven't been to as many places as I've wanted to go as a couple. I've traveled a lot with my family, but just like the 2 of us, we've only ever been to Florida, like multiple different places in Florida. We've been to Orlando a bunch of times. We've been to PCB together twice. We've been to Fort Myers before, which was also really, really nice. And then we went to New York together when I had to film the Drew Barrymore show. So we went to New York. Wade was not the biggest fan of New York.
That's hectic, man.
It was hectic.
That's tough.
Yeah, I loved it though. I would personally, next time we go back, I would either really, really love to go for like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or Christmas time.
It was like, there was a lot of good about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things about it that I was like, holy fuck.
I think it was also because it was only a 3-day trip.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of jam pack a lot of stuff we wanted to do into one on top of me having to film the show.
Yeah.
And
we really didn't leave the hotel.
Yeah.
We left, but we stayed within.
We stayed in the same parameters.
Yeah.
But I would love to go back one day and let Wade experience that, maybe in a more non-rush way, like maybe a week-long trip instead, so that you don't feel so rushed. But
the traffic down there, holy. I don't know how y'all drive down there.
They don't. New Yorkers do not drive.
I don't. What do you mean they don't drive? There's hella cars on the road.
I know, but like a lot of them just walk. Like a lot of people just walk everywhere.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them driving too. I don't know how the fuck.
I don't know.
That shit's rough, man.
We've also been to Gulf Shores together, and I think that might be it. I want to do more traveling, but we've only been together for 3.5, almost 4 years. So I think we've done a good bit. Like, we make a point to go on multiple trips a year, anywhere from like 2 to 3. And so because of that, like, we've had a ton of experiences together traveling, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And as we have children and we extend our family, like, I still want to travel. Imagine going back to Disney but with our kids. That will be so fun. Someone said, what do you do to maintain your relationship?
What do you do to maintain your relationship? I mean, just trying to enjoy the little moments, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be one of the biggest things.
Yeah. One thing we always make a point to do is that we at least go on 1 date a month. Something that a lot of people at our wedding were saying is like really important is to keep dating. And like, I think that that's true. Just because you're married, it doesn't mean that like the courting stops. You have to continue to make your partner feel like every day you're choosing to seek after them, you know, to continuing to love them, continuing to let them know that they are wanted, and, you know, like, there's nobody else in this whole world who could fill their place. I feel like a lot of people, their mistake that they make when they get married is that they feel like, okay, I secured the bag. I don't have to do any of the things I had to do to secure that bag. Right. And that's when you start to see a lot of relationships go downhill. I feel like every day me and Wade wake up and we make the decision to keep doing the little things, like call my butt cute, okay? Tell me I'm beautiful, plan a date, bring me flowers, and then in turn I do things like do his laundry. I know like these are things people think wives should do, but wives don't have to do anything they don't want to do. So things I do every day is like do the laundry, make sure the house is clean, cook his dinner, just to know like I see you going to work every day and you're working hard, so I'm going to hold things down here for you at home so that when you come home we can spend that quality time together and you don't have to worry about doing the things that like, not that I should be doing, but the things that I want to be doing. Because obviously relationships are different. Like the way our relationship looks, yours could look completely different, and what works for you works for you, and what works for us works for us. So that's the big step. Also, never going to bed angry at each other. I used to be really bad about that, and I'm like,
still bad about that.
I'm not bad about, when's the last time I went to bed mad at you?
Last week.
When?
2 or 3 times.
When? Over what?
Some dumb shit.
I did not go to bed mad at you last week. You're just pulling shit out of your ass.
I'm sure you did. Yep, it was probably
I am not going to bed mad at him in probably like 4 months.
Oh no, no, try like fucking 4 days.
When you can think of the example, I'll listen.
It ain't been long.
When you can think of the example, I'll listen. Yeah. But yeah, try not to go to bed mad at each other.
Yeah, try.
And always let the person know like, hey, I love you. Even if it's just random. Like I remember, I think it was like 2 days ago. We were just sitting on the couch and I just look at him and I go, I love you. And he goes, well, that was random. And I'm like, what the fuck? Do you think I'm like mean?
Well, you never say it.
I do too.
Not, you do, but it's not like it's not often that you hear like it's like a random like I don't like spur of the moment.
Okay, but you also know that growing up we just didn't say
no,
that to
like
each other.
I'm not hurt by that or anything. Like I don't take offense to it.
Oh, I love this question because LOL let me know. Would you ever move outside of Georgia? I want to so bad.
I think we would.
I want to do it like just to experience a different state, whether it be a year, 2, 5, 10, whatever. I feel like we've been, and especially we've been in the same area. Like we don't live in the same city as our hometown anymore, but it's literally just 30 minutes away. And it's very still much the same culture. Like Georgia, like there's parts of Georgia where you go and it's like, this is a completely different experience. Like Atlanta, completely different than the area we live in. However, the area we live in, while it's a different layout than our hometown, because our hometown's a little bit more country, like they're still kind of coming up and it's not as developed as the area we live in now. It's very still suburban. Like our hometown's very still suburban. We live in the suburbs right now. I would love to go and for just like a year, 2, 3, whatever, maybe live in Orlando or maybe live in somewhere like New York, just to say that we but
Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando for sure.
Swing Orlando.
Yeah, but just to say that we did that, especially because like all 3 of our siblings have gotten the chance to do that. Like my sister has lived in Chicago for the last 5 years. Wade's older brother has also lived in Indiana for like the last 3 years and maybe two years. And his younger brother just recently moved to Texas. So like literally all of our siblings have gotten to experience a different state, and then we've just kind of been here. I think our biggest restraint is we don't want to upset anyone by moving. But yeah, long story straight, if we could move out of Georgia, we would probably move to Florida. Whether it be like Orlando or somewhere else, like we'd probably move to Florida. Okay, this last question is like one that I have been wanting to talk about on my TikTok since we got married. But I'm always the kind of person who just like out of respect for other people's feelings, I just fucking don't say things. But like nobody respects my feelings is how I feel, so I don't really care. I'm not gonna like talk about specific situations or specific names or whatever, but I'm gonna kind of do my best to like skate around the situation while still talking about it. I don't really know. But the question says, if you could redo your wedding, what would you keep/change? So we'll talk about keep first, because there were some really great things that came out of our wedding, I think. What was your favorite part, babe? Like of our whole wedding day?
I mean, of course, that we got married.
Yeah, obviously.
You know? The live painting was really cool.
I love her. Yes.
Yeah. Keep, definitely like our vows, like us doing our vows and all that.
In front of everybody, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. And then like our first dance, of course, you know.
I will say, for our first dance, I wish that we had taken the time to actually learn a dance like I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of awkward, because then it's like after like a minute, it was like, okay, tell him to wrap this shit up, you know?
Yeah.
Versus had we like, because like 2 weeks before our wedding, I wanted to start like learning how to do a dance, and like Wade's just like, that's not his vibe. So it was a little bit harder to like learn something. And so when we got up there, it was awkward because we're just swaying and like, I'm like, turn, like let's turn, and it was just awkward. So I wish we had learned to dance, but I did.
Yeah, we should have.
Yeah, we should have. But I loved our song choice. Our song choice was perfect. I love whenever you look back in the pictures, like everybody's like looking at us dancing and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like laying in my bed editing this video, and oh my god, I've been editing it I've been editing it for like 5 hours. I go to look, and like the last clip of this video is just nowhere to be found on my camera, on my laptop, on my phone. Nowhere to be found. And like I said earlier on in the video, I am a believer in signs. I'm a believer in everything happens for a reason. And so considering what we were talking about and how many details we went into about how our wedding day was essentially ruined by other people, I'm gonna take that as a sign that like we're not supposed to be sharing that story on the internet just yet, since it's still fresh. It's only been 2 months, and there's a lot of unresolved feelings when it comes to the situation that happened. Eventually I do want to do an entire video just like going over our whole wedding day and things that happened that shouldn't have, and ways that other people could have made the day better on us. But I'm guessing that now it's just not the time. When I say I'm literally baffled, because like I remember pressing record, I remember like talking about it, and it felt good to get it out and release it. So it's like I almost feel like I was supposed to just like talk about it and get it out, and like we were both supposed to talk about get it out because it's more closely related to Wade and people in his life. I feel like maybe that was what was supposed to happen. Like we were just supposed to talk about it, let it out, and then that was it. I don't know. But if there's one piece of advice I can give to you on your wedding day, ignore the outside noises. It's going to be so easy to just pay attention to what everybody else has going on and people trying to make your big day all about them. I know it is so easy sometimes to just succumb to that and like let people make your day all about them and be upset about it. But oh my god, try your hardest not to let that ruin your day. Try your hardest not to let that ruin the outlook on your wedding day, because you're gonna end up being like me, and it's 2 months later and I have a lot of resentment when it comes to a lot of things happen on my wedding day, to the fact where like I just don't like to think about the day. Like I said, one day we will both go into details about it to hopefully make people feel less alone and to like give tips and advice. But I guess today just wasn't that day. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys. This is the first time I've ever done like a little editor pop-in at the end. But I love you guys, and we will see you guys later. Bye guys.